What would you do if the person you loved was in danger, and you weren't there to protect them? In tonight's gripping story, Linda returns home exhausted from the fields, only to find her cunning ex-husband waiting with poisoned food and twisted intentions. As she collapses, helpless, he prepares to violate her, but just in time, CEO Quang storms in, fists flying, determined to save her. Will Quang get there before it's too late? Watch till the end to find out, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more intense and emotional stories like this. The sky had already turned a deep indigo when Linda trudged her way back from the fields. She could barely feel her legs, every step was heavy, as if the earth itself was pulling her down. The day had been merciless hours under the searing sun, her hands blistered from cutting crops, her back aching from the weight of harvest baskets. Hunger gnawed at her stomach, and her throat was parched. All she wanted was to step inside her quiet home, wash away the grime of the day, and find something, anything, to eat before collapsing into bed. But as she pushed open the wooden door, an unsettling sight greeted her. There he was, her ex-husband, sitting comfortably on her living room chair, as if he belonged there, as if he'd never left. His presence was like a shadow from a past she'd tried so hard to bury. The sight of him instantly sent a chill down her spine, her exhaustion momentarily forgotten, replaced by a surge of unease. He smiled, the same sly, serpentine smile she remembered too well. On the small wooden table between them, there were neatly arranged snacks, steamed buns, pastries, and a tall glass of iced water with condensation beading on the sides. "Linda, you look so tired," he said, his voice coated in feigned concern. "I heard you've been working hard on the farm. I thought I'd come by with some food and drinks. You shouldn't starve yourself like this." She stood at the threshold, eyes narrowed, unsure whether to step in or slam the door shut. Every instinct in her told her to send him away immediately, to question how he even got into her house, but the haze of fatigue clouded her judgment. Her stomach churned, not just from unease, but from the sheer emptiness inside. She hadn't eaten since morning, and the aroma of the pastries was tempting, almost taunting. "I didn't ask for your help," Linda said, trying to keep her voice steady, though it quivered faintly. "Why are you here?" He chuckled softly, leaning back in his chair, still wearing that infuriatingly calm mask. "Can't I visit an old friend? I just want to help. Eat something before you collapse. You're thinner than the last time I saw you." His words slithered into her ears, and though she hated to admit it, her body was betraying her resolve. The sight of the food, the coolness of the drink, it was more than she could resist in her current state. Maybe just a bite, she thought. Maybe just one sip. She needed the energy to at least argue with him, to send him away properly. Besides, she told herself, what harm could a piece of bread do? Cautiously, Linda stepped closer, her eyes still wary but her body crying out for sustenance. She reached for a bun, the soft texture warm against her fingers, and took a small bite. The sweet flavor spread across her tongue, and almost instantly, the aching in her belly screamed for more. She took another bite, then reached for the glass of water. The first sip was refreshing, cool and smooth, but there was an odd aftertaste she couldn't quite place, something slightly bitter lurking beneath the sweetness. She paused, frowning, but then brushed it off. She was too tired to think straight. Her ex-husband watched her every move with a quiet, sinister satisfaction, his eyes glinting with something dark, something far from kindness. Linda was too weary, too drained to notice. She didn't know that with each bite, each sip, she was sinking deeper into his trap, one carefully laid out, knowing she'd be vulnerable after a day's toil. And as her limbs started to feel unusually heavy, her eyelids drooping despite herself, he smiled wider. He had waited for this chance, and now, it was finally within his grasp. Linda tried to blink away the strange heaviness pulling at her eyelids, but her body felt slower with each breath. She shifted uncomfortably in her chair, her limbs sluggish as though her bones had turned to lead. Her heart began to pound, a faint alarm in the back of her mind, but her muscles refused to obey. She tried to stand, to say something, but her tongue felt thick and clumsy. A wave of dizziness swept over her, distorting the room into swirls of shadows and colors. The bitter aftertaste. The water. The pastries. Her mind screamed the realization, but it was too late. She was drugged. Across from her, her ex-husband watched her struggle with a smug grin, his eyes shining with malice barely concealed beneath his feigned concern. He stood slowly, deliberately, as if savoring her descent into helplessness. "Don't fight it, Linda," he murmured, stepping closer. "You're so tired, just rest. You've worked too hard, haven't you?" His voice sounded muffled, like she was hearing it from underwater. She tried to move, to shove him away as he approached, but her arms barely lifted. Panic flared inside her, but her body betrayed her completely, sinking deeper into the chair like a marionette with its strings cut. "Look at you," he whispered, crouching before her, brushing a strand of hair from her face with the back of his hand. "Still as beautiful as ever. I told you, didn't I? No one could ever love you like I did. And no one else can have you." His touch made her skin crawl, but she was trapped, a prisoner inside her own body. She wanted to scream, to call for help, but all that came out was a faint gasp. The tears forming in her eyes blurred her vision, turning his shadowy figure into a monstrous shape looming over her. She had escaped him once, left behind the pain, the manipulation, the abuse, but now he was here, invading her sanctuary, taking advantage of her vulnerability in the most despicable way. "You should never have left me, Linda," he continued, his voice dropping to a low growl. "But don't worry, tonight, I'll remind you of what you're missing." He grabbed her wrist, cold and possessive, pulling her forward, closer to him. Every fiber of her being screamed in protest, but her body wouldn't respond. Her head lolled weakly to the side, her vision swimming, consciousness slipping like sand through her fingers. She thought of Quang, her Quang, the man who had shown her what love was supposed to feel like. But he wasn't here. He was away on a business trip, miles from home, completely unaware of the danger she was in. The thought of him, of his warmth and his gentle eyes, was her last tether to wakefulness. As her ex-husband leaned in closer, his breath rancid against her skin, a soft sound stirred from the doorway. She couldn't see it, her vision was almost gone, but she heard it, the distant, hurried creak of the door hinge, followed by heavy footsteps crossing the wooden floor. A voice, low and thunderous, echoed through the haze clouding her mind. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" It was him. Quang. Her heart stirred faintly, flickering against the darkness. Quang was here. She wasn't alone. Her ex-husband snapped his head around, but before he could react, a powerful fist collided with his jaw, sending him sprawling across the floor. Quang didn't hesitate. Rage fueled every strike, his fists relentless, punishing the man who dared touch what was his to protect. The sound of fists, of crashing furniture, filled the room. Linda couldn't see clearly, but she heard everything, the fury, the chaos, the violence, and in the midst of it, she felt something like relief blooming inside her fading consciousness. She was not lost yet. Quang had come for her. And she prayed she would wake up in his arms. Quang didn't hold back. The moment he saw Linda slumped in the chair, her head lolling helplessly, something inside him snapped. His mind registered the half-eaten pastries, the nearly empty glass of water, and the vile presence of the man he hated most, Linda's ex-husband, now cowering on the floor. Rage took over, raw and blinding. "You filthy bastard," Quang growled, grabbing the man by the collar and yanking him up like a rag doll. "What did you give her? What did you do to her?" The man tried to smirk, to play it cool, but Quang saw the flicker of fear in his eyes. Before he could answer, Quang's fist drove into his gut, forcing a choked groan from his mouth. Another punch to the jaw sent him crashing into a chair, which splintered beneath his weight. "You think you can just walk into her house, drug her, touch her?" Quang roared, towering over him. "You think I wouldn't find out?" The ex-husband spat blood onto the floor, scrambling backward, hands raised as if to shield himself. She wanted it. She let me in. Don't blame me if. Another strike silenced him, this time a brutal kick to his ribs. The man gasped, curling up like a beaten animal. But Quang wasn't done. His pulse thundered in his ears, his vision red with fury. All he could think of was Linda, her lifeless form, her vulnerability, the terror she must have felt as her body gave way to the poison. "You'll never touch her again." "Not while I'm breathing," Quang hissed through clenched teeth. But then a soft whimper. He froze. It was Linda. From the corner of the room, her body stirred weakly, her lips parting in a faint, broken sound. Quang's heart lurched. The haze of violence faded just enough for him to rush to her side, cradling her face gently in his hands. "Linda! Linda, Can you hear me? I'm here now, love. Stay with me, he whispered, his voice breaking with emotion. Her eyelids fluttered, her breathing shallow and uneven. She tried to form words, but her throat was too dry, her mind too clouded. Still, she could feel him, his touch, his presence, pulling her back from the abyss. Quang. She managed to whisper, her voice barely audible. I've got you. I'm taking you to the hospital. Just hold on. Quang grabbed his phone with trembling fingers and called for an ambulance. His other hand never left Linda's, squeezing it gently, willing her to stay awake. He glanced back at the ex-husband, still groaning on the floor, clutching his ribs. If Quang had his way, the man wouldn't leave the house alive, but Linda needed him more. He couldn't waste another second. The sound of sirens grew in the distance, and relief washed over Quang. He whispered to Linda, reassuring her over and over again, his thumb brushing away the sweat from her temple. You're safe now. I'm here. He'll never hurt you again, he promised, his voice firm despite the quiver of fear that lingered inside him. Fear of losing her. Fear of arriving too late. The paramedics arrived swiftly, and Quang helped them lift Linda onto the stretcher. He never let go of her hand, even as they loaded her into the ambulance. He climbed in beside her, his eyes never leaving her pale face. As the ambulance sped away, Quang swore to himself and to her that he would never leave her unprotected again. That man would rot in jail for what he did, and no shadow from Linda's past would ever have the chance to haunt her life again. She was his everything, and he would burn the world down before letting anyone take her away from him again.